Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvenavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti. We shall chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verses 1 to 5.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Dhanam Damascha Yajñascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam Ahimsa Satyamakroodaha Tyaga Shantirapayshunam Daya Bhuteshvalo Luktvam Madhavam Hrirachapalam Teja Kshamadhriti Shaucham Adroho Nati Manita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata Dambho Darpobhimanascha Krodha Parushyamivacha Ajnanam Chabhijatasya Partha Sampadamasurim Daivi Sampadvimokshaya Nibandhaya Surimata Mashucha Sampadam Daivim Abhijatosi Pandava.
We are studying the qualities of a divine person, and in contrast to divine person's qualities, he will then later on enumerate the qualities of a demoniac. And he is enumerating 26 qualities of the divine person. This chapter itself is called as Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, yoga of distinction between the divine and demoniac qualities. As we get closer and closer to ego, we develop demoniac qualities. As we get closer and closer to the Atma within, our divine self, the center, we develop divine qualities. Understand? When we become one with Atma, one with the divinity, these qualities become natural in us. Till such time, when we keep the goal of merging with the divinity, moksha as our goal, we have to consciously start working on these divine qualities and try to develop these qualities. And he gives 26 in this chapter. Already we discussed chapter 12 and chapter 13. Chapter 12, he talked about 35 qualities of a bhakta. Then in chapter 13, 20 qualities of a jnani. They are not different from each other. Some qualities are same. Ahimsa. You understand, for example. So, these qualities, as we develop, they are conducive for us to make this knowledge get established in us. And when the knowledge gets established, these qualities become natural in a spiritually evolved person. So, the first quality, after a gap of 2 weeks, I think we are having this class. So last week I was supposed to do the class. I'm sorry I couldn't because I got stuck in one place. I couldn't come. So that's why I asked Sudarshan to play the video recording of our talk in Chandigarh. So I don't remember how many qualities we had completed, and I don't think so many of you remember also. So I checked with few, and they say we have done only one quality, fearlessness.
Yes.
Pardon?
Fearlessness.
So only that quality we did.
Yeah.
Since you also say Vanita, right? Is this Vanita?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Vanita ji and here Surabhi, very fearlessly you are saying. So it must be correct only. So Abhayam, so much we can discuss on these qualities actually speaking. Because as we start discussing, it's very inspiring, And Bhayam, as I said, also is nothing but samsara. That is Bhayam. The very root cause of this samsara is attachment. And as long as you have attachment, you will have Bhaya. And attachment comes from ignorance of our true nature. So, when we are ignorant about who we essentially are, we project an imaginary personality, which is what this personality is, the body, mind, intellect complex, which has been given a name, is limited individual, jiva. And when we identify with this, there will be bhaya. You understand? With reference to the physical body, with reference to the mind, with reference to the knowledge, with reference to the possessions, with reference to everything, there will be bhaya. I'll lose. So, when we get closer and closer to the self, we gain the knowledge of ourself. And immediately, to that extent, the attachment goes. When the ignorance goes, attachment goes. And that bhaya goes. Understand? There will be fearlessness. And we also said that, like the plants which live in this world with some sort of vulnerability, they live life. They're not living life in the mind, Kya hoga? Kal, what is it? Kal ho, na ho. Right? They say in Hindi, right? Kal ho, na ho. This is not there in the plants, not there in the flowers. The flower is not scared if it will end up in a garland, or it will be just thrown around. And secondly, even if it ends up in a garland, will it end up on a dead body, or will it end up decorating the Bhagwan idol, Murti, Mandir? Does a flower bother about it? You understand? But in the case of flower, it is unconscious. Unconsciously vulnerable life the flower is leading, exposing itself to the sun above, the heat, the rain, the wind, everything. But we have to protect ourselves because we are identified with the ego. And Kamsa and Chanura in the Mahabharata is nothing but ego and the mind. You can say so. You understand? Kamsa and Chanura. Kamsa, the mama of Sri Krishna. Achha, in North India, Kans.
And Shanpura is
Chanura. Chanura is the general of Kamsa. Kansa. Okay. In North India. So, the mind is the byproduct of ego. You understand? And they run amok. Fear comes. No. We won't be able to live. We live in the mind. That's called samsara. That is bhayam. So bhayam means samsara. Abhayam means you become instantly free. See, as long as the mind is there, samsara is there. In the deep sleep, there is no mind. In deep sleep, no samsara. Temporarily. Only when you get out, and come to waking state, samsara starts. You understand? So therefore, abhayam. Then, since we have discussed too much about abhayam, I am going to next quality. Sattva samshuddhihi. Abhayam sattva samshuddhihi. Absolute purity. That's what samshuddhihi means. Sattva samshuddhihi. See, our mind is made up of three gunas. The rajas, tamas and sattva. Nobody's mind is free from any of these qualities. Right? We have sattva, we have rajas, we have tamas. When the mind is serene, it is sattva. Serene, balanced, composed, calm, clear, clarity. Now, when the mind is greedy, craving, and restless, passionate, desirous, desiring the fruit, result orientation, aggrandizing, accumulating in nature, all this is rajasic. You understand? This is rajas. Tamas is lazy, lethargic, indolent, heedless to consequence. Not capable of thinking. You understand? Destructive. All this is tamas. Okay. So, sattva samshuddhihi means complete purity. It is absolute purity, complete purity. When the mala, what are the mala? The tamas and rajas. Understand? When the tamas and rajas goes on reducing, sattva increases. You understand? And finally, you have to cross that sattva also. You understand? Finally, one has to cross that sattva also. Sattva atita. When you come to sattva 99%, 1% rajas, 1% tamas. Not 1% balance, 1% is mixture of rajas and tamas. 99% sattva. After that, there cannot be 100% sattva. Because only one quality cannot remain. Also, we have to understand this from a different angle. See, in this world, there is basically the power of inertia. Isn't it? And then there is power of movement or action. Okay. So, there are things which are resting. There are things which are moving. Right? And the Newton's first law, what does it say? An object will either continue to remain in motion or in stagnation, rest, unless and until an external force acts upon it. Okay. So what will happen? Going on running around or going on sitting? Both are not correct. There has to be another force, balance. The balance can come only when there is awareness, knowledge. So that is power to know. Okay. So the balance can come only when there is rajas and tamas. When rajas and tamas is gone, you even go beyond balance, the mental balance. What remains is divinity. You understand? So therefore, so he says, it is even a state that is beyond that, meaning no conditioning. I am cruel, I am materialistic, I am divine. Do you know conditioning here? No, I am cruel. When you are deeply tamasic, I am a very cruel person. And then maybe I am not cruel, but I am very materialistic. The rajas. Then when sattva increases, I am a very divine person. But all three are conditioning. right? And sattva samshuddhi means becoming free of all conditionings. I am divine also is conditioning. You understand? In the Atma Shatakam, Adi Shankara beautifully sings, na punyam, na papam, na saukyam, na dukkham, na mantro, na tirtham, na vedana yajna. You understand? Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that pure consciousness which is free of all conditionings. Only when there is something other than me mixes with me, I become impure. And since there is nothing other than me, there is no possibility of anything mixing with me. You understand? To think that I'm divine also is a mixture. You understand? There is no I am divine. Then the divine goes, what remains is only I am. Are you with me? That's the ultimate state. So, sattva samshuddhi means absolutely no conditioning, zero conditioning. That is the level, a highly, highly divine person. In the absolute divinity, you merge with divinity. Isn't it? In the absolute state, you merge with divinity. So you become totally free from all conditionings. Like I said, I am cruel, I am restless, agitated, or I am materialistic, or even I am divine. None of these conditionings are there. Absolutely pure. No agitations whatsoever. Only when there is mind, there is agitation person. You understand? You go beyond mind, no agitation. So as you get closer and closer to the sattva, you're going on cleansing your personality. You become more and more shuddha. You understand? You get more and more purified. That's what he's saying. Sattva samshuddhi. So many conditionings are there. I'm educated, I'm not educated. I am good, I am bad, etc., etc. At the level of the wealth, at the level of the body, at the level of the mind, at the level of the intellect. All these conditionings goes. So, therefore, you become absolutely pure. That's what he's saying. Sattva samshuddhi. It's well established in purity. Sattva samshuddhi means. See, gold is pure only when there is no copper mixed with it. And if the copper is not mixed with it, you cannot make an ornament out of it. Isn't it? Am I correct? So whatever gold you are wearing is impure. So you give me impure. Why you are keeping all the impurities? You can come and give it to me in the class. All impurities that you have collected at home. You understand? Not really. So the thing is, something other than it is mixed in it. That mixture is due to ignorance. Are you with me? So when that ignorance goes, you become pure. That last trace of ignorance is, I am divine. That's the last trace of ignorance.
Swamiji, what about God themselves? Like Krishna ji is also, he himself is not pure consciousness. He is a manifestation of pure consciousness. So he is also similar to us, just like a different manifestation, but he is not pure consciousness, purity itself.
Abhinav is asking here that what about Sri Krishna ji or any divine person, then they are also not pure. That's not true. We are talking about an enlightened soul who's become free from all conditionings. Absolutely free from all conditionings. So Sri Krishna ji, Sri Rama, they have all become free from all conditionings. Therefore, they are absolutely free. From your angle and my angle, they seem to be expressing through the body. But from them, from their angle, they have become free from all conditionings. You understand? They have no conditionings. Therefore, they are free from all conditionings. They have attained sattva samshuddhi. They are divinity. In fact, from a different angle, we talk about them as avatars only. Consciousness has descended upon earth. You understand? For getting the dharma back on track. This is what we studied in chapter 4. Okay. Therefore, Sri Krishna, Sri Rama, any enlightened soul, Sri Krishna, Sri Rama, we don't talk about them just as enlightened souls. They are avatars. But anybody else who are enlightened, right? See, the thing is, some people here, Surabhi is saying Sai Baba. Now you see, all this depending upon how people are devotionally attached to them, they may look at them as avatars. And some people think Adi Shankaracharya is an avatar of Lord Shankara. I'm sorry, Lord Shiva. You understand? Now you see, we can't say yes, we can't say no. You understand? So it's not wrong also to say that they are avatars. But when in the Shastra we are told these are all avatars, you understand? I discussed about all these things in the 4th chapter in the Sunday class. I've already discussed that. So, enlightened souls who have come into this world through karma, like you and me. We all are born through karma. You understand? And when we get rid of the karma, sanchita karma, then we get enlightened. And when we get enlightened, sanchita karma is burnt. Then thereafter only prarabdha is left, which they live. And they exhaust it. Once the prarabdha is done, they give up the body. Understand? That is enlightened souls.
Actually, wrong.
What?
We come with prarabdha and sanchita is the bad.
Prarabdha is that which has given birth to you. Okay. But once you are born, you have access to sanchita. Once you are born as a human being, you have access to sanchita. You exhaust all the sanchita, then you get enlightened. Once you are enlightened, thereafter you just continue because of prarabdha. You understand?
Yeah.
And then once the prarabdha is exhausted through experience, you give up the body. Such people we call as enlightened. Even they have crossed all the conditionings. You understand? Avatars never was conditioned. Okay. Whereas enlightened, they are conditioned, now they are absolutely free from all conditionings. You understand? When you really understand that there is nothing other than divinity, what can mix? That something mixed itself was a madness. Are you with me? So that is sattva samshuddhi. Absolutely pure. So next, jnana yoga vyavastitihi means what? Being rooted, established, steadfast in jnana yoga.
That's the third.
Jnana yoga vyavastitihi. You understand? Being steadfast in jnana yoga. Now, ultimate jnanam is what? Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. Brahman alone is real. Jagat is Mithya. This world is Mithya. This Jiva, this individual, is none other than Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. Brahma Eva na Paraha. This Jiva is also essentially Brahman only. Right? So when you get that jnanam, What is there? Only Brahman is there. Okay. And that is the state we call as moksha. That's the state we called as abhayam. Understand? For abhayam, you need to reach abhayam, to reach that goal of moksha, you need knowledge. But for that knowledge, you need purification. Okay. You need to be purified. Only to the extent you are purified, you can gain knowledge. And only through knowledge can you get rid of ignorance. Okay. So we have to be constantly established in knowledge. For that, we have to keep on getting rid of tamas and rajas. Tamas we get rid of by inducing rajas. Rajas we get rid of by giving it a higher direction. You understand? As you live up to your intellectual conviction, when your intellect pitches up a goal, the mind follows that goal and not act on its likes and dislikes. You keep on purifying. You understand? Otherwise, you just act based on your likes and dislikes, collecting more and more vasanas. You understand? So how do you purify yourself, which is what we saw before? Sattva samshuddhi, how you become free from tamas and rajas? You become free from tamas and rajas by giving a higher direction. So firstly, you have to act, and you have to act with a higher goal, give it a direction. Then you will get rid of tamas and rajas. And as you increase sattva, you become qualified for jnana yogya samstitihi, to be established in that jnana yoga. So jnana yoga is what? Jnanam means knowledge. Yoga means through the path of knowledge, uniting with the divinity. Okay. Yoga comes to the root yuj, to unite with the divinity through the path of knowledge. Now, knowledge gets rid of ignorance. Ignorance manifests in 3 steps. First is, I don't know. Second is, I don't understand. Third is, I have no experience. I don't know is removed through reading or listening, Shravana. I don't understand is removed through manana, reflection, questioning. I don't have experience is removed through nididhyasana. Right? Nididhyasana is what? Repeatedly dwelling in the knowledge. Repeatedly dwelling in the knowledge, like, now winter is almost coming to an end. Right? So, during this winter, we make this gobi shalgam. Right? This pickle, any pickle for that matter, mango pickle, you're soaking it. The more it soaks, the more it goes into the mango, into the gobi shalgam. Isn't it? It goes in. So it has to go into us. Are you with me? When you are now going through study and reflection. That's why when we finish the chapter in the class, finish means complete the chapter. We have the humility to understand. We have only gone through the chapter. We have not yet gone through the transformation from within. Till such time, we have to continue the study. Therefore, we say we have only begun the chapter. We chant verse number 1 of that particular chapter. It's a tradition. Right? So, going on dwelling, nididhyasana, meditating upon that, what we have studied. Constantly dwelling in them. You understand? And maintaining certain sadhana and all that, so that we can dwell in that knowledge. So in fact, what they do is, during brahmacharya ashrama, you gain the knowledge, student life. And then you get married. Be in the grahastha ashrama. go through the desires dharmically so that you can purify them. You understand? Because you have to attain purity. Further, it doesn't go in. And then you continue doing reflection and all that. Okay. Then there comes a time when you really want to go and establish yourself in it now. You understand that all these worldly things is not going to help. Then you come to Vanaprastha and Sannyas, those two ashramas. That is more of Nididhyasana ashrama. Jnana Pradhana Nididhyasana ashrama. You are more and more dedicating time to soak yourself in it. You understand? So, this Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi. One has to direct the effort only to get back to the self, not anything else. You understand? Artha, Kama, Dharma, all over. Katham. Maintaining consistency, steadfastness in the pursuit of the Atma, divinity, self. Nothing else. That's all it is. So that's called Jnana Yoga Vyavastiti. So, the goal of moksha, abhayam, can only be attained through knowledge. But for the knowledge, you need purification. So, you mentioned this. Abhayam, sattva, samshuddhihi, jnana yoga, vyavastitihi. You understand? Now, only to the extent you have jnanam, you can do dhanam. You cannot do dhanam if you have possessiveness. If you think it's mine, when you give, pain. You can't really give. You will give for something in return. It will be business. Real dhanam, he's going to talk about dhanam, tapa, because three things he mentions here. One is dhanam, then next is dhamma, after that yajna, then he will also mention tapa in this 9 qualities itself. So in the next to next chapter, he's going to say, when he talks about renunciation, Sri Krishna says, in my opinion, 3 things you should not give up. Yajna, dana, tapa. Why DT? To remember it easy. Why DT? Yajna, dana, tapa. You understand? Yajna, dana, tapa, you should not give up, he says. So, there, and in the next chapter, that is 17th chapter, he'll talk about, sattvic, tamasic, rajasic, dhanam, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, tapa, and all that. So, we'll discuss there in detail. But dhanam, when you say, right, it is nothing but charity, giving. How, when will you give, share? When you understand that what is there is ours, common. When you think it's yours, will you give? You won't be able to give. Giving means, after giving, the thought should not be there. You've given it. You understand? So, only to the extent you have jnanam can you give, can you do dhanam. Because when you give, you feel as if part of yours is taken away. Isn't it? Let's say you have 1 crore. Somebody took 1 rupee. Now, what has happened? You've been reduced from croropati to lakhopati. Isn't it? That 1 rupee you gave. I was a croropati, now I am only lakshadipati. Understand? So, you feel you have reduced in status. That is not dhanam. Dhanam should elevate you. You understand? Right? So it's not possession you give, it's the possessiveness. You understand? So that's why it's not just to be understood as just giving at the external level. Understand? So dana means giving, sharing, serving. That is dana. And comfortably I'll be able to do it when I don't have that ownership, possessiveness. The moment of ownership, I won't be able to do. I own it. I am giving. It's not real giving. I have been trusted and it's there with me. It actually belongs to Bhagavad. From a relative angle. The absolute angle, everything is Bhagavad. Okay. So who's giving, who's taking? Through me, Bhagavan is giving. You understand? And Bhagavan is taking through the other person. The transaction is between Bhagavan only. So what is giving? So this knowledge-backed giving is true giving. Otherwise it's not giving. So, dhanam. And see, as you evolve, there will be dhanam in that person. And as you put in little effort and start doing dhanam, you understand? It's not like you give up things which require. That is not dhanam. Right? You see that it is required by the other person. It is going to help the person. He is in need, whether he asks or not, and is qualified to receive that. Right? And by giving that, you also elevate. So dhanam should elevate both the donor and the donee. Otherwise, it's not true dhanam. Dhanam should elevate both the donor and the donee. Right? What your right hand gives, your left hand should not know, they say. It's not like quietly, secretly you call and from behind you give. That importance is not there upon you. Agree with me? That is dhanam. And that can happen only when there is jnana. That's why he's saying all these are qualities of a divine. As the fire of knowledge increases in you, you understand that as per the karma, things have come to you. Meaning, as per each one's karma, things are there. But actually it belongs to Bhagavan. Right? And this is for transactional purpose only. So intelligently, you keep transacting with it with zero possessiveness. With no idea of I am giving. It is true. Done.
Is quality number 4?
Yeah. So, abhayam sattva samshuddhihi jnana yoga vyavastitihi, then dhanam. See, in the nature, if you see, everything is giving. Automatically. The giving is happening and they are unconscious. Right? And we are the only one human being, though we have the capacity to give it consciously, give things consciously. We don't give, but we grab also. When the ego becomes more solidified, you require more. The dependence is high. Isn't it? When the ego starts getting diluted, the dependence becomes less. With that jnanam, as you gain jnanam, dhanam becomes automatic. And in dhanam, very important thing to notice, not just giving, very, very inspiring quotation to me personally is, he says, Maurice Maeterlinck, he says, nakedness of the world is clothed with the trimmings of the vein. Nakedness of this world is clothed with the trimmings of the vein. Vanity. Vein means vanity. Due to vanity, for ego, we hoard. So when you are solidifying the ego, you take more. Okay. Now when you liquefy the ego or evaporate the ego, you understand what will happen? You don't need so much. Your dependence reduces. Right? You see many things you will not unnecessarily take. That's also dhanam. See, in the book Vedanta Treatise, Swamiji very beautifully explains this. Because of your ego, of your vanity, you take more than what is necessary. Then from that 2%, 5%, you announce and then you give. Firstly, you made people poor by taking more and denying them. And then you're giving. But also with expectation of, that they should wish you well so that you can book your ticket in heaven. First row. If possible, Indra's seat itself. So, you understand, you are taking, so you become very conscious. So he says, nakedness of this world can be clothed with the trimmings of the vein. You have taken more than what is necessary. So the trimmings, he says, the extra things just sweeping the floor, that you trim, or the extra things that is there in your cupboard. You just open the cupboard, everything falls on you. So much you've stuffed in. You understand? That extra can clothe the nakedness of the world. That is dhanam. That is also dhanam. You've not given anything, but you understand? Everything is dhanam. That way. So, that's what we need to understand. You first, in the world today, you have created beggars, and then you make them dependent. Charity should make the person independent. It's real. And who can make another person independent? Only one who is independent can make another person independent. You can only light another candle with another candle which is lit. How can you light another candle if this particular candle with which you are trying to light itself is not lit? You understand? So, as your ego, wick, is exposed to the fire of knowledge, you understand? Then you start melting like candle. Then the charity comes automatically. This charity. Charity is not that one day you announce and then you tell them to queue up and then give, and sometimes throw also. So he talks about time, place, and all that in the next chapter. So I'm not going into those details when it comes to dhanam. You cannot live without others' dhanam. You are taking oxygen. That's why you are living. You're getting oxygen from the trees. So you also have an obligation to give. You understand? So this, with that knowledge, it becomes natural. Without knowledge, ego gets solidified. How can I give? This is mine. में कम हो जाता है. You get it? So that is dhanam. That's another very important quality of a divine person. Like I said, every quality is a natural consequence of evolution merging with divinity. But whichever quality inspires, you take that and practice that with awareness. You will find that other qualities also come. So instantly you will see, am I having things which I don't need? Anything I'll have unnecessarily, then you take them out and find out the qualified people for it and give it to them. And this quality purifies you. Instantly, you feel much better. First of all, in the house, you can, there will be some kind of a, what do you call, clarity. There is so much chaos. Everything's thrown around, this, that. Yeah, this tendency to hoard, as human beings, we keep on, that lobha is too much in a human being.
It's like a naturally occurring quality in a human.
Yeah, that's what. They say in Shastra, the Rakshasas have anger as natural thing. Krodha. Devas naturally no sense control. They indulging 24/7. Understand? No closing. And then this human being as lobha. You understand? No control. Lobha, greed. That's why beautifully he said that in that ad for Pepsi. Dil mange more. You understand? More and more you grab. So as the divinity enters you, as the divine knowledge enters you, from grabbing you move to giving. In giving, you are not giving what is yours. You are only sharing what belongs to the divinity. What is divinity? What is belonging to divinity and what is divinity? Whichever way you want to look at it. Sharing it. And the more you give, the more you become light. Both meaning. You become light in weight also. Mental heaviness. And there is clarity also. That is dhanam. Dhamma, next quality. Dhamma means sense control, not sense denial. Is another problem. Dhamma means we think sense denial. Denying ourselves. If it has to be denied, why it was given in the first place? Why do we have all these, senses for us to deny our? See, right usage of the senses is called Dhamma. Okay. Right usage of senses. Now, when we see something, that object that we saw, when we get involved in it, we forget ourselves. That means we are not having Dhamma. You get it? That's why it's called as kosha. I explained this in Saturday class. We are studying Tattva Bodha there. We just studied Pancha Kosha, 5 koshas, sheath. When we identify with the body, what is happening? See, sheath means scabbard. You remember scabbard? In the scabbard, you insert the sword. The scabbard is also of the same shape as the sword. Correct? The sword is inserted in the scabbard. The scabbard is covering the sword, as it were. Similarly, when we identify with the object, when we identify with the mind, what happens? Sorry, with the body, we become the body. We forget the body consciousness covers the awareness that I am Atma. Further, when the senses go to the sense objects, the sight our foolish heart inflames. Beautifully he says in that pineapple and the bee poem, isn't it? So, the sense perception has robbed our awareness. That means we've lost Dhamma. That means we have lost sense control. So it's not the quantum. One fellow can lose it in the very first object, one object itself. One fellow may not lose it in contacting 10 objects also. Not the quantum that determines how controlled are you. Are you with me? And also it's not just the denial. The practice sometimes when you do, also to be in awareness. In denying, sometimes what happens is, they call it as tapa. When it comes to tapa also we'll talk about it. I'm denying myself, I'm doing tapas. But what is getting solidified? Their ego. When a intermittent fasting, 16 hours kiya, tumne 24 hours, acha, in a 24 hours, tumne only 60. You understand? I can do 48. After some time, you won't be there to say how many hours you did. You understand? So, the point is, Dhamma means not sense denial. Sense contact with awareness. The senses are given only for you to enjoy. So, when you have the knowledge, then automatically you will see, okay, this is good for me. This will help me. See, if you have from a very relative angle, if you have a reference point, goal, which is to get back to the self, which is to retain my awareness. Ari Baba, I have weakness in these areas, so I should not contact. Okay. Or even if I contact, I will go with my guru. Somebody who has a better intellect, higher intellect. He will control me. Because then I lose my awareness. So that's why we say Dhamma is lending purpose to contact. Understand? This will take me away from the goal. I don't contact. This will help me to get back to the self. I'll contact. That is Dhamma. That is sense control, not denial. Denial will increase frustration, agitation. Control will increase awareness. Control will bring clarity. Control will bring peace, calmness. That is Dhamma. You get it? So, Dhanam, Dhamma. Both are to be done with awareness. For the matter, everything has to be done with awareness. In divine person, awareness is high. And then he or she is sharing, that is dana. In dhamma, with awareness, controls how much, what to contact, how much to contact, how to contact, when to contact, understand, what not to contact, who are the people who help me to maintain that awareness. It's only through the senses all sense goes in and sensible things also goes in, isn't it? Once it's gone in, it has its own way of functioning, reacting. Stop it from there only going. So that is Dhamma. Dhamma is a very important quality that helps in increasing Shama, means mind control. So Dhanam Dhamma. We'll see the rest of the qualities next week. So we have done up to Dhamma. Right. So we have done Abhayam, Sattva Samshuddhihi, Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi, then Dhanam Dhamma. We have to still do Yajna, Swadhyaya, Tapa, Arjava. 9 qualities in this sloka. Still have 4 more to go. We'll see it next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.